So we all know that what we eat absolutely impacts our overall health and our well-being. But did you know that how we eat is actually just as important? Well, it turns out if we're always eating really fast, not paying attention to our food, not chewing very well, if we're second guessing our eating habits and feeling guilty afterwards, all of those things trigger our sympathetic fight or flight nervous system to activate when we eat, rather than our parasympathetic rest and digest nervous system. When this happens, it ultimately triggers us to eat more food than our body actually wants and needs. It increases our cravings for sugary and processed carby type foods. It negatively impacts our nutrient absorption. It decreases our day in, day out calorie burning capacity. It increases our fat storage hormones, and the list goes on and on. So another piece to this is how we eat ultimately impacts how much we eat. So if we miss getting taste, pleasure, and satisfaction from the food that we're eating, our brain often interprets this missed experience as hunger. And that's because biologically, we are hardwired at the most primitive level to get those things from food. So that way we keep wanting to eat, so that way we stay alive. So say you're out running holiday errands, you're just kind of mindlessly eating as you go. Your brain isn't necessarily smart enough to be like, oh, you're just busy and not paying attention to what you're doing. Instead, your brain commonly screams hunger. We are physiologically driven to signal hunger for more food, even if we've already just eaten a lot, if the brain misses what it needs, that eating experience. You might have experienced that before. Maybe you just finished eating a lot of food and you still feel hungry. You're like, how am I possibly still hungry? I just ate all that food. You might have missed the eating experience. Another thing I want to mention is exactly how we eat impacts our metabolism. So research shows that 40 to 60% of our digestion and calorie burning power at any meal comes from something called cephalic phase digestion. And cephalic means of the head, so it's literally talking about your head or your brain phase of digestion. So say for example, you're at a party, you're chatting, you're drinking, you're not paying a lot of attention to what you're eating, you're not chewing really well, you're in kind of a stressed state because maybe you feel a little awkward or uncomfortable, you're only really metabolizing your food at about 40 to 60% efficiency. But what if we're eating something that we know isn't nutritious? Does how we eat even matter at that point? Well, I'm going to answer this with an example that has two different scenarios in it. So say you're at a holiday work event and you see some delicious festive looking cupcakes. In scenario one, you tell yourself you shouldn't eat the cupcake, but ultimately say what the heck and you have it anyway. You end up eating it really fast because you feel bad that you caved, and then afterwards you feel pretty guilty and shameful. By eating the cupcake in this way, you're activating your sympathetic fight or flight nervous system, and you missed giving your body that eating experience. You've now set yourself up to be more likely to experience overeating and cravings for sugary and processed carby type foods. Also, your metabolism is not working very optimally, and you're telling your body to store more fat. In scenario two, same cupcakes, but this time you give yourself full permission to eat a cupcake. You take the cupcake, you notice how great it smells, you take your first bite, your mouth starts watering because it just tastes so good. You chew it really well, you slowly take another bite, and you're just really getting a lot of pleasure and satisfaction from this cupcake. By eating the cupcake in this way, you're triggering your rest and digest nervous system, and you've given your body that full eating experience. You're now less likely to experience overeating and cravings later, and you've optimized your digestion and you've optimized your metabolism. It's the same exact cupcake in both scenarios, but the body processes them completely differently just based on how you eat it. So, for a takeaway, my best tips for changing the way you eat, the how for you eat, to optimize your health and optimize your well-being. The first thing is eating with intention and attention. I like to have my clients create something I call a pre-eating ritual, and it's really a way to trigger that rest and digest nervous system and to be able to be in a position to make an empowered choice about what and how much food your body really wants and needs. So a great way to start this is by taking a couple long, slow, deep breaths. This automatically puts your body in a state of calm. Next is to see what food is even available to you at the moment, what's doable and what's realistic to you. Next is to really ask yourself, what do you feel like having? What would feel good in your body? Next, no matter what it is you choose to eat, really aim to be present with your food. Be mindful about how you eat it. Focus on your food, minimize distractions, take small bites, chew really well, and really get a lot of pleasure, joy, and satisfaction from your food. Be sure to practice that this holiday season and throughout the rest of the year.